respected organizers at CREDI, MCHI, Homes and Buildings Magazine, esteemed delegates and co-panelists. My name is Sachin Jain. I am 49 years old, born and raised in a traditional family in Mumbai. Until recently, I worked as a full-time Spanish teacher at a school. I am the founder and administrator of Ghar, Gay Housing Assistance Resource, a free pan-India safe space for queer persons to meet housing requirements. Founded in the year 2000, Ghar has been on Facebook group since 2012. Today, it has about 18,900 members from all over India and the diaspora. The majority are gay men, but other queer persons and straight allies also use it. How it works is as follows. A person joins the private group via a link. After joining, they create and publish a post with their requirements. Other members then interact with them in the comment section or simply through direct messages. This is neither a dating app nor a matchmaker. It simply helps queer renters to rent together with other queer renters. Now, on the journey to renting a space, a gay man faces a series of challenges. While contacting the real estate agent, he may hide his sexual orientation. Most gay men are single, and while they suffer the same problems that all bachelors face in renting, the secrecy and fear of discovery compounds their insecurity. On the other hand, gay couples who rent may lie about the nature of their relationship in order to pass unseen and get the flat. After that, the single gay man has to deal with flatmates, roommates, and the landlord. The attitudes of these may be positive or negative. If the situation is of sharing a room as opposed to sharing the flat, this may be even more acute. If the roommate or flatmate is homophobic, which means hates homosexuals, something that they may reveal in a conversation, the gay man immediately feels fear and limits his exposure to the other person. Difficult to do if sharing a double bed in a room. From deleting browser histories to lying about their whereabouts, gay men then do what it takes to make the situation work. If the homophobic person has an alcohol or anger problem, the risks post-discovery are further compounded due to the potential of violence. Often, despite the best efforts of the closeted gay man, the flatmate finds out. Now, the ideal step would be a mature conversation. I'm not saying that the other person should celebrate or even approve of homosexuality, but at the minimum, the gay man expects to be accepted as a human being and given the dignity and respect that comes with it. Sadly, this is not always the case. Gay men have described experiences of taunting, group mocking, verbal harassment, and unwanted sexual advances from roommates and flatmates. A lot of this has to do with ignorance, stereotypes, and misinformation prevalent in the social discourse. This is often done in the name of good-natured teasing, but in reality, it is bullying and harassment. If word gets out, the landlord makes up an excuse and asks the gay guy to leave, or heighten the scrutiny and the paranoia around the gay renter. Queer renters always have this word hanging over their heads. After the landlord, the third stakeholder that gay men fear are neighbors. They may be nosy and inquisitive and demand answers about whether the gay man is married, if not, why not, when they will get married, and so on. They also keep an eye on who comes to the flat, when, and why. For persons who express their gender identity differently, who may wear makeup or clothes that are perceived as peculiar or unsuited to their gender, the problem is further serious and compounded. These persons are more susceptible to violence and hostility that is triggered by their visible difference in how they walk, talk, dress, and behave. Both for the gender normative and gender non-normative gay men, they are forced to go back in the closet. This means to restrict their lives in order to hide their gender identity and sexual orientation, out of fear of losing the hard-won accommodation in a location of their choice. This is particularly ironic because many gay men have left their family and religious support structures in a small town or village and flocked to relatively liberal cities like Mumbai and Bangalore in order to be able to live an open, dignified life. But soon they realize that while they may have escaped the rigidness of their towns and villages, new challenges await them that they may not have thought of. The prohibitive rents mean that they have no choice but to rent with another person, often several persons to a room, including sleeping in common areas like the living room. And since they don't know at the time of entering the flat if the new roommates are ignorant, insensitive, or downright homophobic, They play safe and they hide. What does being forced back into the closet look like? It means the following: not taking calls from gay friends inside the apartment, modulating voice and body movement, not inviting friends over, not being able to meet or spend an evening or night with a date or partner at home. All of this means fewer possibilities to form human connections, be it friendship or romance. This may cause loneliness, anxiety, and low self-worth, leading to taking increased risks. For example, to have sex in unsafe and or public spaces, higher risks of not having protection, and thereby of disease, endangering life and health. This is in direct contravention of the fundamental principles of right to dignity and privacy as outlined by the Supreme Court of India. In the course of 25 years of running Ghar, I have come across many such situations. A gay man was blackmailed with threats of exposure to the landlord and to family members. He called me from Bandra station wanting to jump on the tracks. A gay engineering student went on a trek in the Western Ghats with his hostel mates, and they left him alone in the forest and returned as a joke. I anecdotally know of several instances of gay men forced to spend much higher than their share of the flat rent, of sexual abuse and of physical violence. When abuse is persistent and severe, with no recourse to solutions, the danger of related problems rises, especially for queer youth. Studies have shown a disproportionately higher propensity for runaways, homelessness, mental health problems, alcohol and substance abuse, and suicide in the community. Personally speaking, over several years, I have become so used to the news of a seemingly healthy gay person suddenly passing away and nobody knowing what really happened, as the person's identity is erased and the matter hushed up by the family members. Several transgender persons also access Ghar on a regular basis for their needs, which are different from those of gay men. Before undergoing surgery, several trans persons have posted on Ghar wanting accommodation near the hospital in the city where they will be operated on as a part of their transition process. They don't feel safe with their families of origin, who may not know about the transition process. They want to go through the pre and post-operative experience in a safe, non-judgmental environment where they can relax and be themselves in the preparation before and recovery after the operation. Over the years, there have been several instances of young queer people being thrown out of their house, often in the middle of the night, by their families upon discovery of their identity. Hence, there is a need for temporary crisis housing for such individuals all over India. In many countries, local, state, and federal governments shoulder the financial burden of this. Now, private initiatives in this regard are much needed and appreciated, but as equal citizens and taxpayers of India, we would like to see the government taking the lead, either in setting up temporary shelters for LGBT persons evicted from their homes, or in sensitizing existing shelters about the needs of this vulnerable group. By striking down Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code on September 6, 2018, the Supreme Court of India decriminalized consensual same-sex sexual relations between all adults. The decision may not necessarily have changed the mindsets of the stakeholders, but it did one very important thing. It curtailed the culture of vigilantism, moral policing, and impunity of homophobic and transphobic persons. Until this point, harassers would take advantage of the fact that under Section 377, the gay man was essentially an unapprehended felon. He had gay sex, which was criminal, and had not yet been arrested. They would use this perspective to intimidate, silence, harass, and extort money from queer persons who, often due to ignorance of the law, would not realize that being gay by itself was not a crime, and that the wording of the law penalized only the sex act. Thanks to the judgment, sensible media coverage, and grassroots work done by community organizations, gay men after 2018 felt more empowered to be visible, to reveal who they are without fear of negative consequences, to confront moral police both at home and at work. The Same-Sex Marriage Supreme Court judgment of 2023 denied same-sex couples the right to marry. It ruled that marriage is not a fundamental right. Since same-sex marriage would affect other laws, it called upon Parliament to make systemic reforms to address the needs of gay couples since they are not legally recognized. These couples cannot apply for a loan together to buy property, to receive or inherit property from their partners. Other claimants may be most likely to dispute a gay partner as compared to a legal spouse. A same-sex partner may be denied hospital visitation rights or a say in the critical medical decisions of their partner even after living for decades together due to a lack of legal proof of relationship. Does renting with other queer people directly solve those problems? No, it doesn't, but it has a cascading effect of empowerment. The home being the ground zero of one's lived reality, existence, and identity. Being yourself without being judged at home is like a safety valve from the pressures at office. Being yourself with friends and partners at home cements, nurtures, and enriches friendships and relationships. Improvement in mental health, confidence, peace all lead to deeper human relationships and professional achievement, and thereby happiness. Hence, safe, good housing has a direct positive effect. At the macro level, the cost of prejudice and discrimination has been queer brain drain. I was born in December 1975 and graduated in 1997 as an electronics engineer, just prior to the dot-com boom. I can tell you from personal experience that hundreds of gay men and women that I know from India who have contributed to build the trillions of dollars of worth of wealth in America and Europe, but especially in Silicon Valley, left India in the 1990s and the 2000s because they never saw Section 77 going away in their lifetimes. They are living openly gay lives in San Francisco or elsewhere. The negative cascading effect of such brain drain over the last 30 years on India's wealth, in my opinion, must be truly monumental. Today in 2025 in India, we have a generation of LGBT Gen X and millennials. They survived Section 377 and have achieved and flourished in the mainstream of our society. They are now looking for creative ways to shape how they live the second innings of their lives. Until now, in the absence of other options, queer seniors facing financial and physical challenges would be forced to go back to their families of origin and would be forced back in hiding if they were unaccepting in their twilight years due to dependency on relatives. But queer folk of today have several ideas, from seniors communes to rainbow retirement homes, where they can continue to be who they are, not give up on the gains of their hard-won battles, and live the rest of their lives with other queer seniors and allies. One of my proudest moments was when Ghar was mentioned in the 2018 Supreme Court judgment in point 32 on page 29. I quote, "The petitioners have advanced their argument that Section 377 IPC impedes the ability of the LGBTs to realize the constitutionally guaranteed right to shelter. To illustrate the same, the petitioners have drawn the attention of the court to the fact that LGBTs seek assistance of private resources, such as Gay Housing Assistance Resource Ghar, in order to access safe and suitable shelter. And this is an indication that members of this community are in need of immediate care and protection of the state," unquote. In conclusion, let us find innovative solutions to deliver the constitutional promise of full equality to our queer citizens. And for this, let us start at ground zero by creating a household, a ghar, rooted in love and acceptance. As a school teacher, I would like to leave you with one homework assignment after you leave this event. Meet a queer person you know and love and ask them about their life story, especially about the spaces that they have dwelt in. Trust me, you will come away fascinated. Do stay in touch, and thank you for the privilege of your time and attention at this August gathering today.